folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Urshan, and this week we take a look back at another great classic from the Italian horror maestro Lucio Fulci. You might have seen my other video on Zombie. He's also directed several other great classics like House by the Cemetery and City of the Living Dead, The New York Ripper. Some of them which also starred Catriona MacColl, who is also in this feature we're going to talk about today, which is the legendary, the masterpiece, The Beyond, starring Catriona MacColl, Cinzia Monreale, and David Warbeck. Awesome, classic, amazing soundtrack by Fabio Frizzi as well, which really drives the picture. And a lot of fans consider this his ultimate masterpiece, and that's hard to argue. I also love Zombie as well. But this is another great classic, and it's definitely up there with Zombie and City of the Living Dead. It's a great horror film. Any horror film addict should love. And you should also definitely purchase this excellent Blu-ray that just came out recently. All kinds of Easter eggs and special features. It's even got the soundtrack to the film included with it on CD. And it's also 2 Blu-ray disc collection. All kinds of interviews and with the cast members, and even coupled with actually have Lucio Fulci in there. Which I've heard that he was kind of a recluse and kind of difficult to work with, and he didn't like to do a lot of interviews and stuff, but he is in there. Now, on to the film itself. There's not really too much in the way of actual plot in the film. It's more of a visual storytelling, horrific visuals, I might add. And it's almost like a nightmarish, dream-like scenarios throughout the film. And but there is somewhat of a plot. It starts out, we see this old hotel, and we see some local villagers gathering together in what seems to be some kind of lynch mob, because they have their pitchforks and fire torches ready to go, like on the old Frankenstein movies, getting ready to start something. And so they bust into the hotel, and they bust into this guy's room, and they're all gathered around him. It can't be good. And apparently this guy that lives in the hotel, who is a resident there, they believe to be some kind of warlock, and they believe him to be responsible for opening one of the 7 doors of death, which happens to reside in this hotel, and releasing all kinds of legions of the undead. So they hold him responsible, and what they do to him is not a pretty picture. They take him, they crucify him on the wall, hammer the nails into his arms, and that's not all. They beat the living crap out of him with whips and chains, and he's all messed up. And then to top it all off, they bathe him in acid. Throw big buckets of acid on his face, and you see every gory little detail. His face melts, and every orifice, you see every little detail of it, and it is nasty, let me tell you. And that's what Lucio Fulci is very much known for, and this film does not disappoint in that area. The gore effects are amazing, some of the sickest stuff you've ever seen. Lots of acid baths and eyes getting gouged out, and it's nasty. So after that scene, we turn to the present day, and we meet this woman named Liza, played by the lovely Catriona MacColl, and she apparently inherits that same old hotel that we saw in the beginning, long time ago. And what happens is she inherits the hotel, and she wants to renovate it and open it back up for business. and she's got this crew of miscreants and kind of incompetent, but and they have a plumber come in, and they want to renovate the building, but apparently there's some kind of huge flood down in the basement, and they have this guy Joe the plumber come in and try and find out what's going on with the flood, what's causing it, and he investigates it, and he starts like hammering down the wall and stuff. I don't know what kind of plumber this guy is, but uh, and what happens when he does that is he releases and opens one of the seven gateways of hell, and this zombie's hand comes right out and grabs his face and gouges out his eyes. It's nasty. The nasty visuals in this movie. And he then becomes one of the legions of the undead, a zombie, if you will. Um, but once so bad things start to happen around this young lady Liza, and she meets this other young woman named Emily, who is something going on with this girl. We don't quite know. But she's very mysterious, and she's trying to warn Catriona about the hotel and about the seven gateways of hell, and the hotel being a major part of that. And so she tries to warn her, you got to get away from that hotel. You got to stop it. You got to. And she tells her about the Book of Ibon, which apparently has all the details of the gateways of hell, and apparently something happened with her, and we're not sure if she's some kind of a ghost that was in hell, and she somehow got away. But that's kind of the impression that I get, is she's some kind of ghost that escaped from hell, and now she's trying to act almost like a guardian angel to Liza, um, by trying to warn her. But we find out the zombies find her, and she's like, "No, I don't want to go back." and they and they do a number on her. They actually turn her own dog against her, and the dog rips her throat out in the most ghastly fashion. Um, and also another thing about Emily is she's blind. We see nothing, but we don't even see the iris in her eyes, the pupils. It's just straight white. and the dog is her seeing eye dog, but the dog turns against her because of the zombies find her, they surround her, and they control the dog and make him turn on her. And like I said, they rip her throat out. The blood gushes everywhere. It's nasty. It's sick. This movie is sick. So, and it's definitely not for the squeamish. So if you don't love gore, if you don't love horror at its most raw, then you don't want to see this movie. But if you do love that stuff, then this is the movie for you. Absolute classic for gore hounds and fans of splatter horror, and also zombie films. If you're a zombie aficionado, then this is another great classic in the genre. Um, it's not strictly a zombie movie per se. There's haunted house elements in there. There's ghosts in there. And they put a lot of different types of genre in this film. Uh, the soundtrack is amazing. It's like classic. It's almost like how the Goblin group does Dawn of the Dead and stuff like that. It's similar to the work that was done in Zombie too, but it really really fits the picture amazingly well. Um, so like Liza seeks the help of this doctor named Dr. John McCain, played by David Warbeck, and he tries to investigate the phenomena with her. He kind of thinks she's a little kooky at first, because she's seeing all these things, and he's trying to tell him about it. and he doesn't believe her at first. But once he starts investigating into the Book of Ibon and the background of the hotel and the guy that lived there, and he starts finding out that there is a lot of strange stuff going on. And so they get together trying to find out what the hell's going on and what's going on with this Emily and what's going on with the hotel and why are all these bad things happening and people dying all around them. Um, and another thing about that guy, Joe the plumber, apparently, so they tried, the doctor does an autopsy on him. And once he leaves the hospital room, the zombies come and get him. And there's also this little girl who was, I guess, his daughter, and the zombies get her as well, and his wife, and his wife takes another bath in acid blood. It's not pretty. And the girl gets turned into a zombie as well. And she meets quite a ghastly fate. Her head is blown like completely. It's horrifying, the visuals. See this little girl get her head blown in pieces by a shotgun blast. So in the end, all hell breaks loose. All the lords, the legions of undead, are released in this hotel, and they're trapped in it. Liza and the doctor are trapped, and they do their almighty best to try and fight off the hordes of the undead. But it doesn't. It's very tough for them. Let's put it that way. And then the guy's not such a great shot either. He has a gun, but he doesn't know the rules. That you have to shoot the zombie in the head. You start shooting him in the chest and in the stomach, and they keep coming. It's like, hello, shoot him in the damn head. But they do that in all the zombie films. There's always some guy that doesn't know the rules of the zombie horror picture. But this film is such a pleasure. It's awesome. It's horrifying. Like the visuals and the great music make it all worth it. And the performances are solid too. Catriona MacColl is very believable. Very someone you would trust, someone you would want to help, and she does a great job, as well as David Warbeck and the girl that plays Emily. And it's an Italian film, but it does kind of try and emulate the things that some of the American films do, like Dawn of the Dead and things like that. So you can see a lot of the actors are speaking English. So it was kind of Lucio Fulci's attempt at making an American horror film, but it's still a lot of that Italian giallo stuff going on. But you absolutely must purchase this film and this excellent Blu-ray here. And you must see this film to be on. It is a classic in the Italian horror genre. Directed by Lucio Fulci, starring Catriona MacColl, David Warbeck. Buy it now. I give it 2 devil horns up. It's a masterpiece, and thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Urshan, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared.